The Battle of Bunker Hill, fought on June 17, 1775, near Boston, Massachusetts, was a pivotal engagement in the early stages of the American Revolutionary War. This historic battle, although named after Bunker Hill, was actually primarily fought on nearby Breed's Hill. The battle involved the colonial forces of the newly formed Continental Army, commanded by Colonel William Prescott, facing off against the British Army, under the leadership of Major General William Howe. The Battle of Bunker Hill was significant for its strategic importance, the bravery displayed by both sides, and its impact on the course of the Revolutionary War. The setting of the Battle of Bunker Hill was the hilly peninsula of Charlestown, located across the Charles River from Boston. The high ground of Breed's Hill was actually chosen by the colonial forces for fortification, as it provided a commanding view of the surrounding area, including Boston. Despite the battle being commonly known as Bunker Hill, the majority of the fighting occurred on Breed's Hill, where the colonists constructed earthen fortifications and prepared to defend against the British forces. The battle was fought in the early stages of the American Revolutionary War, which had begun in April 1775 with the battles of Lexington and Concord. The colonial forces, mainly composed of militia and volunteers from Massachusetts and nearby colonies, were determined to resist British attempts to quell the rebellion and assert colonial control. The British, on the other hand, aimed to maintain their authority in the American colonies and suppress the growing independence movement. The Battle of Bunker Hill was fought on June 17, 1775, when British forces launched an assault on the colonial fortifications on Breed's Hill. The British Army, led by Generals Howe, Clinton, and Burgoyne, planned a two-pronged attack to dislodge the colonial forces and secure the high ground. The initial British assault faced heavy resistance from the colonial defenders, who held their ground despite being outnumbered and low on ammunition. As the British forces advanced up Breed's Hill, the colonists under Colonel Prescott and other leaders fought tenaciously and inflicted heavy casualties on the advancing redcoats. The colonists, many of whom were inexperienced in formal warfare, demonstrated remarkable courage and determination in the face of superior British firepower. The battle raged on for several hours, with intense hand-to-hand combat taking place near the earthen fortifications. One of the most famous moments of the Battle of Bunker Hill was the colonial order, "Don't fire until you see the whites of their eyes," attributed to Colonel Prescott or other officers to conserve ammunition and maximize the impact of each shot. This order reflected the dire situation faced by the colonists, who were running low on supplies and needed to make every shot count. Despite their valiant defense, the colonial forces were eventually forced to retreat from Breed's Hill due to a shortage of ammunition and overwhelming British numbers. The British troops, after suffering significant casualties from the fierce resistance of the colonists, finally secured the hill. The outcome of the battle was technically a British victory, as they gained control of the strategic high ground overlooking Boston. However, the cost of the British victory was high, with over 1,000 British casualties compared to around 400 colonial casualties. The Battle of Bunker Hill had a profound impact on both sides of the conflict. For the colonial forces, the battle served as a morale booster and demonstrated their ability to stand toe-to-toe with the professional British Army. The courage and resilience shown by the colonial militia at Bunker Hill inspired confidence in their cause and galvanized support for the revolutionary movement. On the British side, the Battle of Bunker Hill highlighted the challenges they would face in subduing the rebellious colonies. The high casualty count and fierce resistance encountered at Bunker Hill served as a wake-up call to the British leadership, signaling that the conflict would not be easily won. One significant aspect of the Battle of Bunker Hill was the confusion over the actual location of the battle. The miscommunication regarding whether to fortify Bunker Hill or Breed's Hill led to the misnaming of the battle. Despite the name, the majority of the fighting took place on Breed's Hill, where the colonial forces constructed their defensive works. This miscommunication and misinterpretation of orders contributed to the confusion on both sides and added to the chaos of the battle. In conclusion, the Battle of Bunker Hill was a critical moment in the early stages of the American Revolutionary War, showcasing the determination and bravery of the colonial forces and highlighting the challenges faced by the British Army. The battle, although technically a British victory, had a significant impact on the morale and confidence of both sides. The lessons learned from Bunker Hill would shape the strategies and tactics of future engagements in the Revolutionary War, ultimately leading to the independence of the American colonies from British rule.